This is Kim Newlove, host of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Thank you for joining me for episode 88. If you're new to the show, welcome. I alternate solo shows and interview shows. The solo shows are about my journey from pharmacist to voice actor, and the interview shows feature a variety of people who use their voices to advocate, educate, or entertain. My website is thepharmacistvoice.com. We all have bad days, right? When I was in kindergarten, a bad day was when a classmate stole my chapstick from my desk. As a college student, a bad day was when I was a second-year pharmacy student and I got a D on my first anatomy and physiology test. By the way, if this happens to you, office hours are your friend. My professor gave me tips on being a better student in her class and studying for her tests. Her advice really helped. Back in 2001, when I was a newly licensed pharmacist and a newlywed, I worked midnights, and my husband worked day shifts. We only saw one another in passing or when we both had days off. As a community practice pharmacist, the bad days were memorable. On the bright side, I didn't have to work on the Monday after Thanksgiving without a tech in the heart of flu shot season or anything, but there were still days when I had no techs. While I was counseling someone at the patient consult window, there were patients at the counter and the drive-thru. I had 2 people waiting for flu shots and a 1-inch thick pile of prescription labels waiting to be filled. Plus, at least 3 people were on hold waiting to talk to me on the phone, and the voicemails hadn't been checked for more than 2 hours. If you're a pharmacist, you get it. That's a bad day. That might be your day every day, though. And if it is, much respect. I feel for you. As a mom, a bad day was when I found out my older son had autism, and my husband left for a week-long business trip out of state 2 hours after that diagnosis. I had to make a plan and take action alone. I was clueless and scared. It was 2005, and the internet wasn't the wealth of information and helpful online communities that it is today. When I made the change from pharmacist to voice actor, I was so optimistic about the future that I didn't really stop and think about what a bad day would look like as a voice actor. As time goes on, I'm finding out. Let me just say that even people who make career changes still have bad days. For example, my vocal stamina is only so long. Sometimes I still have plenty of energy, but it sounds like my voice does not. So I have to stop and call it a day. In general, February and March have been frustrating. After more than a year of the COVID pandemic, I'm just done with it. I know. Some people only wish they had my problems, right? I get it. That doesn't stop me from feeling overwhelmed, though. I need to put this out there because a lot of people out there who think they wish they had my problems need to hear that I have bad days too. In my opinion, it's normal to have bad days, and I'm not going to hide it from others. The good news is that we grow through what we go through. Every challenge I face makes me stronger and better equipped to deal with other challenges. Last month, my older son turned 18. He has autism. As a family, we face challenges that no one else faces. The variables in my life are just different from others. My son's 18th birthday set off a chain reaction of once-in-a-lifetime challenges. For example, I'm becoming my son's legal guardian and signing him up for Social Security disability. It's not straightforward. There are a lot of hurry up and stop moments. It's like when you're in stop-and-go traffic with traffic lights. You have to hurry up to get through a green light, then you have to stop at a red light and wait for the next green one. For example, the other day, after 52 minutes on hold with Social Security, our call was disconnected for no apparent reason. When I called back, the call volume had increased, and my estimated time on hold was 1 hour and 45 minutes. Eventually, I just had to give up. I ran out of time. As a voice actor, the amount of time I'm able to work on my business is limited. I can only work when it's quiet. With the kids home for online instruction, winter break, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, snow days, teacher work days, and pandemic-related cancellations, I have very little time to record projects. I'm hoping for some consistency in the fall when or if the kids return to school 5 days a week. My younger son was on a hybrid learning schedule, and he only returned to in-person learning 4 days a week this Tuesday. Up until now, he learned online 3 days a week and reported in person 2 days a week. School was canceled on 2 of his in-person learning days, one in February and one in March, so the teachers could get their COVID shots. That means he only had 1 day of in-person school each week. Here's the short list of other stuff going on in my life that's keeping me busy. It's track season for my younger son. Lots of extra driving time for me. Thankfully, he'll be 16 next month and he'll be able to drive himself to and from school and practice. We have spent a lot of time in the past 5 months teaching him how to drive safely, and he's done a great job of completing the classroom instruction online. He's doing great, and I'm ready for him to drive. My husband and I had to tackle some lengthy processes and meetings with the school to keep our older son qualified for services and create goals for his academic year. If you are a special needs parent with a child in public school, these are called the ETR and the IEP. This month, my minivan broke down again. After 10 plus years and more than 125,000 miles, I sold the van and leased a Honda Ridgeline truck. In addition to being a busy mom, I'm also a paddler and a biker. I have a tandem sit-on-top kayak and a bike rack. The truck was an easy choice. I can fit the kayak and the bikes on the truck at the same time. So much easier than my Honda Odyssey minivan. What else is going on? I'm getting my taxes done. That sounds easy enough, right? But it's not just about giving a shoebox full of receipts to an accountant. I organize my stuff really well because I care about doing it right and avoiding being audited. With my kids, my business, and my husband's crazy 13-hour workdays at Amazon, my life is full and wonderfully complicated. Plus, I'm still not drinking coffee. I stopped in January, and I don't plan to have any until May 1st. It's a little experiment. So far, I feel much better without coffee. So much less acid reflux. As I was thinking of what to share this week for the podcast episode, I remembered the children's book, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Have you ever read that book? If you've never read it, you should. Judith Viorst wrote the book and Ray Cruz illustrated it back in 1972. I'll put a link in the show notes. Here's the short of it. A boy named Alexander, very young boy, is having a bad day. It makes him want to move to Australia. Somehow he thinks things are better in Australia. By the end of the book, Alexander realizes that some days are just like that, even in Australia. At the beginning of this podcast episode, I said we all have bad days. It's true. We can all relate to Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day book. As grown-ups, we all have terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days, sometimes. Some days are like that. The important thing is to keep moving forward and turn the bad into good. I did it when I was in kindergarten. I caught the chapstick thief using my chapstick and I got it back. In college, I turned my anatomy and physiology grade from a D to a B. As newlyweds, when my husband and I saw one another on our days off, they were downright magical. When I worked as a community practice pharmacist, the days when the pharmacy ran smoothly were tolerable. I even enjoyed them. After my son was diagnosed with autism, he got connected with services and our lives improved. And now, I'm recording projects as a voice actor, and I love what I do. I'm growing through what I'm going through, and I'm looking forward to better days ahead. Thank you for listening to episode 88 of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Please visit thepharmacistvoice.com to subscribe and read the show notes.